Go ahead and start recording, and then we'll measure this. Well, waiting for this. Seeing. No, I'm not. I can't see it. Can you see him?
Yep. 20, 30, 43.
Let's see how much it pulls. I can hold the bag down a little bit. Try to at least get it straight. Alright, so now, how many pounds?
12, 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
About 17 pounds.
17 is about.
Alright, this is my throw cube that I'm getting familiar with and using. Generally, I have my throw line in the cube. In that cube, I have a throw bag that is filled with steel shot so that it can be attracted to the magnet. And on the tail end of that throw line, I have a magnet. I usually now carry two of those so that I can do double bagging. And we will try to explain how this magnet option will assist you sometimes in the double bagging, and how it will also be a good assistant for trying to keep your bag from getting stuck in the tree. Alright, if I'm looking for a tie-in point, I usually find a path that is fairly clear, and I'll throw my weight, shoot my weight up through that path. There may be one or two obstacles that I have to clear to get to my high tie-in point that I'm going for. Once I clear those obstacles, it's easy to clear those obstacles and there I have one side of my tie-in point that's completely clear. Now what happens oftentimes is once that bag is cleared the tie-in point, it comes down and it enters the canopy of the tree. And oftentimes in that canopy of the tree, the branch unions are such that it travels easily one direction but wants to hang up going the other direction. So if it looks like I can just pull the bag up through and isolate my bag, then I'll go ahead and do that. Sometimes it looks like those branch unions are going to be such that it may get stuck. If that's the case, I'll take one of my magnets and I'll attach it to the throw bag, and as I pull it up, if it looks like it gets stuck and I can't get it to pull through that branch union, I have the option of pulling it back down out of the tree and starting over. If it looks like it's managed to clear all of the obstacles, now I have the option of dropping both the magnet and the throw bag back to the ground, and I have an isolated climbing line. Or I have the option of giving this side a tug, and incidentally, if you pull about 10 pounds on this, it'll disconnect the magnet from the bag. So if I give that a 10-pound pull, it'll pull that magnet from the bag will drop to the ground, and I have an isolated climbing line. Again, I have the option of lowering that bag to the ground, or I can pull that back through the foliage and back down to the ground. Okay, in this case, I've thrown my throw bag up over my tie-in point. I have one small obstacle that I want to isolate, but the reason I chose this is it was a pretty clear path. Once it cleared that path, then it went through a part of the canopy with a lot of foliage, and I'm very doubtful that I'm going to be able to pull my throw bag back up through that part of the canopy. So the option then is to go ahead, pull your line up and isolate whatever obstacle you had on that side and lower it back to the ground. This is where normally somebody would double bag and attach another throw bag onto the one that's on the ground. In this case, I'll just attach the throw bag with the magnet. The advantage of the magnet is like a double bag, except that the advantage to the magnet is that it provides me the option with a 10-pound pull of being able to disconnect this while it's still up in the canopy. So that is ready to go up. That would get pulled up through the tree and up and over my desired. And now I have the choice of either dropping the double bag, the mag bag, and the throw bag to the ground, or I can give this side a 10-pound pull. It'll disconnect the magnet from the bag. The bag will go to the ground, and I'll have my line ready to isolate. If I can drop this to the ground, then I'll lower it to the ground, or I'll pull this back through the canopy. And again, because of the branch unions, it seems to be a little bit easier to get it to come one way through the canopy that way. You still have to be careful to try to keep this from getting tangled into the canopy. Then this comes to the ground, and now I have my throw line ready to pull the climbing line up into the isolated anchor. This can be a helpful little trick, but a lot of times if I've got one obstacle here that I want to clear, rather than double bagging and doing all that, I'll lower my bag to the ground. I'll just take another bag or a heavier bag and I girth hitch it onto the climbing line. I don't have to go all the way to the tail of the climbing line. Then, when I pull that up, it'll clear that obstacle, but I also have this line to give me a little bit more control in clearing that obstacle, and lowering my bag to the ground, I can swing it back and forth. Another cool thing that you can do with that girth hitch bag is if you're trying to clear a little nub or move your line around on that anchor a little bit, you can work that back and forth and get it to jump over the tie-in point until you've isolated exactly where you want it to be, just by jumping back and forth a bunch of times. And then lowering it back down, and you have your line ready to pull up your climbing line. Has anybody seen my throw bag? I had it laying here on the ground just a minute ago. Alright, so once I've isolated the throw line up,